PJ Morlando, season ended, but how did it end? Was it wear and tear, or was it the weight room and a weightlifting competition? This sounds so Marlins. What is the truth? Who really cares? The story is better. Tons to get into. This is Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins, your daily Marlins pod. I am your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up at Miami Marlins _UK. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network and your team every day. There is a YouTube channel. Hit subscribe over on the YouTube channel. If you are watching on the YouTube channel, you'll see there's not one, but two guests, as promised, as committed. As I wind down here on Locked On Marlins, my goal is to bring on as many guests as possible. Some new, some returning. And actually, right now, we have two guests on. One is a debutante and also a European debutante. And then we have a returning stud as well, who is based in the US. Let's start with the European debutante, Hans, joining us from Norway. Hans, how are we doing?
I'm great. Looking forward to, make a good impression in the debut. So we'll see how it goes.
You already have. You already have, no doubt. The question that always gets asked to me and any European Marlins fan, frankly, is how the hell did you become a Marlins fan? So I'll ask you that one, and then we'll intro into Sean as well.
Well, I didn't say this before, but I'm not European. I'm Colombian. I'm just happen to live here in Norway. So 97 Edgar Renteria, the hero. This
makes sense then.
Yeah, that's it.
This makes total sense. I thought you were going to say that you were related somehow to Georgie Alfaro or something along those lines, and I don't know, but
yeah. No.
Nevertheless, this either way, I'm going to go with Norwegian Hans. I think that's a better story, but nevertheless via Colombia, so it's all good.
Yeah, great.
Shan Millerick is also back on the show. Sean, this is probably your third, fourth, fifth appearance. I forget now, but nevertheless, they're always a stunner. Everything's good your end, I hope, as well, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Third or fourth. And Hans, I get it. I haven't lived in Florida full time since 2007. So I'm always asked why I made this seemingly horrible life choice. And but it's always, then I have to be, well, I grew up in Miami. And then and the conversation just ends.
That's it. Yeah.
So I get it. But I'm fired up to talk Marlins baseball.
No doubt, guys. There is a sponsor, so let's cover the sponsor, and then we're going to get into this one. There's actually tons to get into as well, as there always is with the Marlins. There's always drama, which is why I love this show and why I'm going to miss this show deeply. But this episode is sponsored by FanDuel, and now through September 22nd, and yes, it is the 19th right now, so listen up quick. Through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com to get yourselves started. And where are we starting? Let's start with the fact that the Marlins are about to play a game in circa 35 minutes, somewhere in that range. And they actually have a chance to win the series against the Dodgers. Hans, I don't know who this Marlins team is in 2024, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, in this series in particular, it's been littered with storylines. All eyes on Shohei Ohtani. It's been packed out in Lone Depot, which has been encouraging. We've got Miguel Rojas back, hitting home runs. We've got Jesus Sanchez going crazy. We've got Ryan Weathers happening. I mean, this is somehow kind of playoff baseball vibes for the Marlins, even though they're struggling to avoid 100 losses. So we've got a game on deck here. Could the Marlins take this series?
Well, I always put my money on Edward Cabrera. It's probably my favorite starter this year.
Okay.
And the fact that he's been so great after the All-Star break gives a legitimate chance to the Marlins to win the series. I don't know why the Marlins they are really annoying the path of the Dodgers the last couple 2-3 years, even though never favorites. But they managed to win some games, even some series. So it's not that weird that they can win this series. What's the storyline for today? Well, we'll get into that in a couple of minutes, I guess.
Yeah, no, no doubt. I think, and just on Eddie Cabrera, by the way, sneakily, and to your point, he's had a really good stretch. This is definitely, I would say, like the best, most consistent stretch of Edward Cabrera's career. I just looked. He's got a 4.55 ERA. It feels like I only recently looked and it was like 7.89 or something. And so this just shows with Eddie, he's been on a real tear. And to be honest with you, this is the exact type of start that I really want to see him go against, like against the Dodgers lineup that's lively, obviously, and a team that's desperate to win. Like, make no mistake, the Dodgers are here trying to win this series, no doubt. Like, there's no foot off the gas for the Dodgers. They want to win. The lineup's pumped, and this is going to be a proper test for Eddie Cabrera, and I think it's going to be very exciting to watch starting in kind of 30 minutes. Hans, is Edward Cabrera fixed at this point? We've been trying to fix him for about 5 years. Is he finally fixed?
No, not really. I don't think so. He also had like a really hot stretch at the second half of, I think it was actually 2022. Okay. After the All-Star break, he was also under 3 ERA or something like that. But then something happens along the way, even injuries or inconsistency or skyrocketed base on balls every game, and then we come back to zero. Until Eddie managed to go through a whole season of consistent good starting, we cannot say Eddie is fixed. But I'm always cheering for him nevertheless.
No doubt about it. Sean, one of the main standouts for me in this, and again, it's been littered with storylines. Jesus Sanchez with a 5-hit day. I'm not convinced I thought I'd ever say those words, to be honest with you. Jesus Sanchez with a 5-hit day. All hard hit balls as well. I'm interested to get your sense, because Jesus Sanchez to me feels like a bit of a Marmite player, where some people really love him, some don't. Where do you sit on Jesus Sanchez? Like, where are you on the love-a-thon, I guess, the love range with Jesus Sanchez? 10 being like, you're fully in love with the dude and you think he's amazing, to 1 as in he's not that great, he should be moved on.
Well, I definitely prefer Jesus to Marmite. There
you go.
I'm out on Marmite. Much more tolerant of Sanchez's presence. He seems like one of the two real shoe-ins, I feel like, for being a starter, and you feeling good about the fact that they are in the starting lineup, for the 3. And I'm sorry, just that kind of season lost, Berger, Sanchez, and Edwards. I feel like those are our 3 players that, okay, they're in the lineup, great, and they could be in the lineup for a successful, team, now. And I think, certainly, I don't think we're going to see too many more of those 5x5 days. I was shocked by that as you were, but 250, 17 home runs. I think we can squeeze a little more power out of that, but that 250 average, seems about right for what we can expect from him. But I think he is what he is right now. He's an affordable upside power bat in the lineup, but you like to see him, who could occasionally take over a game and flip one on its head. But it's going to be a lot of growing pains with that too. But that's okay for that kind of player. So on that 1 to 10 scale, I guess I'm at a 6. 6.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like there's, I was going to say, Hans, like where do you sit on Jesus? Are you similar? You see it similar, where it's like,
somewhere between.
He's steady. He's steady at this point.
Yeah, I think DLC, De La Cruz, and Sanchez were like complementary each other. One lefty, one righty, right? So to hit about 20 home runs per season, striking out a lot. I don't know, Jesus Sanchez has stolen like 15 bases this year or something like that, which I did not expect whatsoever. Sanchez probably has a much better arm, but yeah, they are not so distant between each other. So if the Marlins got a good prospect for De La Cruz, keeping Sanchez is just right. I there is no a prospect, an outfield prospect that you can say, okay, this guy is gonna come and take over any position in the outfield. So keeping Jesus Sanchez is just fine.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know with Jesus Sanchez if potentially, because he's been around for many years and we've seen the roller coaster with him where he burst onto the scene and then it was just terrible for a period and then he's kind of steadily, I would say, improved actually. I don't know if there's just a bit of a degree of, from a Marlins fan base, of like, maybe we undervalue him a touch. I look and think, he's got a 727 OPS. He's hit 17 home runs, stolen 14 bags. He's hitting 250. Like, I look and think, a relatively cheap deal. I think this is like a decent player. And maybe he isn't that 40 home run guy that maybe we were dreaming on. I think this is the problem. We always kind of dream at the top level of the upside. I think there's a bit more in the tank. Sean, do you think, Jesus, listen, anyone in arbitration in their arbitration years, is at risk of being moved at any point under this new ownership group, right? And that's just the reality for all of us fans. As we head to 25, my expectation is that Sanchez starts the season. My gut feel is that come the deadline, if the Marlins aren't doing well, and the expectation probably is that they aren't, I think there's going to be a similar type of conversation that the Marlins had around De La Cruz at this deadline with Jesus Sanchez at 25. What about you?
Absolutely. I think he's like of the three players I mentioned, I think he's the most movable. He'd be the next guy on deck to be this is the piece of the major league roster you move if someone wants a hitter. And, Hans nailed it on the head with, him being pretty similar to DLC in that respect. This is, if the stars don't align for that, scrappy, club fighting for, 500 or a little beyond come next summer, I think Sanchez is the first one out the door for sure.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Non-pitcher division.
Yeah, for sure. I think the pitchers is a different conversation. But I think from an offensive standpoint, I'm with you. I think Jesus Sanchez is the most likely to be moved, i.e. he's shown to be a average at best, maybe a slightly above average guy, a lefty stick, a power stick. Like, it's the type of profile that teams kind of look to add during the campaign, right? And we've seen the damage he can do. I mean, boy, oh boy, imagine if the Rockies were good or getting better and they were like, we need to add Jesus Sanchez now. I mean, I'd love to see a full season of Jesus Sanchez in Coors. I think that would be wild, to be honest with you. So I hope he ends up in Coors, to be honest with you, and reaches his full potential, because I've never seen a ball hit like the ball he hit last season. I don't think that one in Coors, which went in ninth deck or whatever it was, which was absolutely insane. Hans, do you see the same with Jesus?
The power is undeniable. He hits steadily 420 feet every time he hits a home run. Coors would be like a dream ballpark to him.
No doubt.
But it's the consistency again, just like with Edward Cabrera. There is always the potential that he wakes up the first half of 2025, and then by All-Star game, he already has 25 home runs. And then what are going to do the Marlins? Are we going to cash in with prospect? Are we going to keep it? Depending on how the starting pitcher is looking. Interesting to see how the development Jesus is. I think he's 26. So he still hasn't entered his prime years, or it's about to enter them. So you can expect some kind of still further development in his career. So next year is gonna make it or break it.
And he is 26, but I must say with Jesus Sanchez, to me, he feels like, I mean, listen, I'm 40 years of age, so I have to be careful how I phrase this, but he feels like a young 26 when I think of Jesus Sanchez. I feel like he's relatively immature. He gives off that vibe, and some of the decisions and base running gaffes that we've seen with it. Like, I often just think like he's playing like a teenager at times, to be honest with you, even though he is 26 and he's been around the big league club for some time. Feels like he's not fully locked in at all moments. And so I still think there's some growth there too, both mentally, and I think his game actually offensively has been improving for sure. And yeah, I'm interested to see what happens in 25. But I think, we bookmark this episode right now. We revisit it towards the deadline in 25. Gut feel, this will age pretty well, is my kind of honest opinion. Something that didn't age very well was the situation with PJ Morlando effectively injuring himself on his debut in the Marlins organization. And Isaac Azout has been reporting in this topic area today. Isaac Azout, Fish on First Stud, of course. So we're going to talk about that in some detail. Before we do that, it's time to let you know and hit the first ad, but let you know about our good friends and our new friends, by the way, over at Arena Club. Yes, sir. And for most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Mahomes rookie card just isn't in the cards. You may love collecting, but that's some serious money to drop. But thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards and clear hit rates for each and every one of them. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent, with a full grade rationale provided and explanation of how your card was scored. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out. And right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb. And that code again, LOCKEDONMLB, for 10%, 10% off your first purchase. Welcome back to Locked On Marlins, guys. We have covered in depth, I must say, Jesus Sanchez. That was, I think, a little bit unexpected. That was probably 12 minutes plus of Jesus Sanchez, but fun nevertheless. Let's flip it over to a prospect. Hans, the news broke today by Isaac Azout that PJ Morlando, yes, we knew the news that he was out for the season with a back issue. It's been reported that the root cause of that was a team organized weightlifting competition during a rain delay. So in the game, there's a rain delay and the team decides to arrange a weightlifting competition. And Morlando hurts himself, overexerts himself, whatever it might be, and is effectively then out for the season. Can you think of a more Marlins storyline than this one? Because I'm struggling to think of any.
I don't know, man. All the drama in a nutshell. I imagine the scenario, and this is just speculating here, right? Like, okay,
we love
guys,
speculation.
we are bored. Let's just do something for fun. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. And that kind of things happen. It's a lot of irresponsibility. I don't think it's that bad unless the actual injury is terrible. Because how many games would PJ Morlando play this year? Anyways, probably
not many.
20,
50, 60, do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. But if the injury is like really bad, then I think someone is going to get fired.
The optics don't look good, right? I think this is the problem, right? Where you've got your first round pick. Granted, he is a first round pick, but it's kind of a de facto first round pick because he wasn't really a first round talent. They took him for, spread the money around a little bit, but nevertheless, they took him in the first round, and he makes his debut. Everyone's excited. Everyone will closely track PJ Morlando for the rest of his career. He's going to be a first round pick and will be closely tracked. He then takes a couple of at-bats and then never returns. And we're like, oh man, what's happened? And we now get this story, 6 weeks on? 8 weeks on? I can't, it's somewhere in that range. Transpires that maybe this is down to a weightlifting tournament mid-game. I think this is the most hysterical thing. Sean, this to me, knowing how ripped up Gabe Kapler is, by the way, Gabe is put together. And knowing that like Gabe Kapler's fingerprints are all over this Marlins minor league system at this point this year, this smells of a Gabe Kapler, a bit of fun, but maybe went a bit wonky some way, and then PJ Morlando ends up hurt and out for the year. By the way, just to kind of add to that, Barry Jackson then kind of adding some further detail here that he hasn't verified this information, and he's actually suggesting that the Marlins are saying it's actually wear and tear that was to blame. And so it sounds a bit suspicious to me. I'm not sure. Sean, what's your take on this in general?
Oh, well, the first thing I thought of was a Gabe Kapler joke. That was my comment on Twitter when the news broke. I can easily see him bursting into the room, ready to pump some iron and challenge people with that. As will shock no one. I have not played professional baseball, but I can't speak to the team building intricacies of rain delay weight challenges. It certainly seems like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard that would befall a professional athlete for injuring themselves. Yeah. And we've got Jesus Azout on the team who broke his hand punching a table for losing a video game before he was with the Athletics. And Dane Myers kicked the door in frustration, but this is ahead by a wide margin. So unless a weight challenge like this inspired Giancarlo Stanton once upon a time in that same clubhouse to become the power slugger that he became, it definitely seems like somebody screwed up. And I would agree that quietly, someone probably will be losing their job over this. Not Gabe, who I agree with you, definitely started this somehow. But
it smells of Gabe, doesn't it? You can just
someone
see it.
is getting fired.
Because I'd imagine, and I don't know this. I mean, there's probably a way to find this out, but I don't know this. But PJ Morlando's debut, it feels like the type of game that Gabe Kapler may attend, to be honest. And then hence there's a rain delay. Next thing is Kapler walks into the locker room, the clubhouse, topless. And next thing is throws down the weights. And of course, Morlando, he's the first round pick. He's ripped up. He's taking it on. He's taking on Gabe Kapler.
Rookie hazing. Could be that.
No doubt. I mean, this is complete speculation and conjecture, which is exactly what I love. It's way off the mark, but nevertheless, it's fun to speculate around that. So, listen,
how can you put the team on his back if he can't even put a weight challenge on his?
This is it. It does concern me. That was the thing I was thinking, Sean. Listen, if he can't even get a weight challenge on his back, then we've got some serious issues because we're going to be expecting him to carry this offense in 2029, somewhere in that range anyway. So we will see. I mean, what we have seen from PJ Morlando is that he's back on Instagram and he's back in the cage and he's taking some swings. So probably to Hans's point, this doesn't look like one of those that's going to be, he's going to miss next year as well or something crazy where it's like, super elongated as a stint. So yeah, exactly. Knock on wood on that front.
I'm going to knock on wood, yeah.
I think just to kind of piece it together though, Hans, the problem we've got here is Morlando first round pick out for the year after a weightlifting challenge. They trade Arias, one of the best pure hitters in the game. They go and get Dylan Head, and Dylan Head makes one appearance as well, and then it's out for the rest of the season. Just, is this bad luck? Or is something else in play here with the Marlins? What's going on?
Well, I guess the Marlins had a good luck run last year with all those one-run games. Let alone 2020 with all the COVID situation. So the team had a good stretch on good luck. So it was about right to be balanced a little bit.
We're paying it back.
Probably. But I don't know. It just sounds like a made-up story or a TV show or something like that. Yeah. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Exactly that. Let's hit the final ad, guys, and then let's kind of mop up on a few other topics here. Vidal Brujan, Derek Hill back on the roster. Weathers has returned. Ohtani and his quest for 50-50. So there's tons to get into here, guys. Stick with us. Before we do that, let you know about our good friends over at FanDuel. Yes, sir. And you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel here on Locked On Marlins. It's America's #1 sportsbook. We have something a little bit different for you, though. Now through September 22nd, so you need to act quick. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. For those Dolphins fans out there, this is the perfect thing for you. Maybe it isn't, I don't know. But with YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Final segment here on Locked On Marlins. Sean, Ryan Weathers back yesterday. Unfortunately, gave up 3 homers. Mispronounced that. 3 homers he gave up. Nevertheless, I look at this part of the season from Ryan Weathers' perspective as, can we get through unscathed? And that's the most important thing at this point. Yes, it'd be amazing that he comes in and throws 6 scoreless against the Dodgers, but I think that was a tall ask for him. But I think at this point, considering they've accelerated Weathers to be back to make 2 starts, just some healthy starts, I think, is probably all we really need to see from Weathers at this point, right?
Yeah, this is just about getting him on we've heard a lot of pitchers talk about it, chiefly Sandy, that goal of just having the regular spring training, right? Being able to finish up the season, with the team, then just get on a regular program, not having to worry about, additional rehab and delayed start to spring training by, that approach. So I think that's the most you can ask for, just seeing, some glimpses of, what we saw earlier in the year and feeling that this is going to be an arm that the team could rely on. Going into next season, you want to have that rotation with all of these guys back, not just Sandy and eventually Uri, but Weathers, Brax, the young cheap arms, maybe even Cabrera. Again, that's another that's all 3 of those guys are cheap arms that are here till 2029, at least contract wise. So as many options as they have to stock that rotation with after what we've seen this year, you're going to feel better about the team's chances to compete or to move pieces to compete in other areas. So more healthy arms, the better. And so it's great seeing Weathers back. But as far as anything he does mattering on the field other than not getting hurt, not really.
Exactly. Hans, it feels like as well Braxton Garrett is likely to return maybe this Brave series. I can't actually recall when he went. I feel like he went yesterday. So he could be on schedule to return very soon, maybe in this Brave series. So Weathers is back. Let's assume Braxton Garrett's going to be back too. And I think, again, like similar to Weathers, where for Brax, just getting him back will be just a huge boost for the Marlins, like headed into the offseason, the spring training piece. And, to that point, and Sean's point, all the rotation comes back healthy. 2025 will, there's a chance they can go 9-0, let's say, rather than 0-9 as they did in 24, right?
Yeah, it's the same case as in Ryan Weathers. A couple of starts from Garrett go 100%. Don't forget about Sandy. He's throwing already 99.
He's ready.
So yeah, if you give him the ball, he will throw 7 innings tomorrow afternoon.
No doubt.
Yeah. So there is some optimism about spring training next year. At least I have some. And for sure, some of us fans will have. The question is, will the Marlins make a move to get some or an additional bat, giving away starting pitcher? That's to be seen. Yeah.
I think that is the question. It's one I've been thinking about all week. I keep looking at the shortstop position and I just keep scratching my head. I just can't see a shortstop. And I know they tried to move Luzardo last offseason for a shortstop. I keep coming back to that and thinking, I think they're going to move Luzardo this offseason for a shortstop that's young and projectable. And I think they're going to go back to that.
Will you move it, given though that he just made a bunch of starts and didn't go well in 2024? This is a low point of his value. I'll keep him and wait a couple of months next year.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
It could be, and you may be right that Luzardo starts the campaign, similar to Sandy, where both those guys, they're trying to showcase them, right? They're trying to showcase A, the production, and B, the health. And then once both tests have been met, then maybe that's the time to move. But I don't know. 25. This offseason in general, I am very interested to see what happens. Knowing like we've had one Bendix offseason and we saw what that was, which was basically do nothing and then see what happens. And then you go 0-9 and then you move Arias. It was it was a very quick decision on that. Like the white flag is the earliest white flag I've ever seen of any organization ever. To be honest, it was super early, but it was the right decision. To be like, it was early, but it was the right call. It was just so early. That's what caught everyone. It raises eyebrows when you make that move so early. But this offseason, I'm interested. The Marlins and Eli Sussman called this out on the show recently that they have a lot of payroll flexibility here. Like, if they wanted to do something, they have the opportunity to do so. The question is, do they? And probably the answer, if we're all honest with ourselves, is no. That they maybe don't make a move. Let's briefly talk about, Ohtani's got his 50-50 quest on the go right now. However, what stood out to me yesterday, Sean, this caught me off guard, I've got to be honest. Xavier Edwards has just reached 30 stolen bases. It completely caught me off guard. Xavier Edwards has got 30 stolen bags. I mean, I didn't think there was 10 stolen base speed in Xavier Edwards prior to this year, but he's now sitting there at 30 stolen bases. I mean, what a find for the Marlins Xavier Edwards has been, and the speed, I think, is just such a surprise for me. I just wasn't expecting that at all. So, what kind of impact should we expect, I think, from Xavier Edwards, like for the Marlins next year? And what defensive position do you think he primarily mans?
That's the $1 million question, or for the Marlins, maybe $500,000 dollar question. Who's can they fit him in at second base or shortstop? There, the great thing is he gives them that flexibility, so they can. I think the market will somewhat dictate that what opportunity they can get. And I hate to say Tim Anderson 2.0, but who's the next opportunity of a player of that ilk and that salary range that they could get if they do bring someone in, and even choose to do so. If they keep everyone that they have and go about it that way, then I think they may have seen enough to put him out there at short again, and to take that approach. But they do have the flexibility to go either way in free agency, so that's comforting. But the stolen bases, people are stealing like crazy since that new rule went into effect. I think it's been one of the more successful ones. So we've got Shohei going for the big accomplishment tonight, but I don't see any reason to believe that why Edwards would be a consistent 30+ stolen base threat.
Yeah, for sure. Shohei Ohtani currently sitting on 48 home runs, 49 stolen bags against Edward Cabrera. He obviously got a home run in the first game. Eddie Cabrera pitching out of his mind at the moment, let's say. Hans, do you think Shohei Ohtani gets 50-50 tonight? Both 2 home runs and a stolen bag. 50-50.
No, I don't think so. I think he can get a bit closer. Probably stealing the 50th base. But I hope not to hit any home runs. He can get it next week. He has a whole week to hit 2 home runs. So, yeah.
Agreed. What did you make as well? Miguel Rojas back in town. A home run for Miggy Rowe in game 1. Nice moment for Miguel Rojas. Just want to call it out that, I'm sure he would have enjoyed that. It was obviously quite a lively atmosphere. Obviously, he played in Lone Depot last year as well, but I think it was a bit of a mixed reaction last year, if I recall correctly. But I feel like it was a nice moment for Miggy to get that home run. I mean, there's been a little bit of kind of negativity from the fan base towards him, but I feel like time's a healer on that kind of point, and everyone's kind of moved on. And for me, I thought it was a nice moment for Miggy. What about you?
I think since Jazz left also Miami, things have been easier to, calm everything down. Everyone liked Miggy Rowe when he was in Miami. So, that helped a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Sean, we've got a topic on the rundown here that I did want to talk about, and Hans has segued me in there perfectly because I did want to talk about Jazz Chisholm Jr. If you are on Instagram or any social media platform, you would have seen a lot of Jazz Chisholm Jr. in the last 12 hours plus, I would say. The Yankees clinched a postseason berth. The goggles were on, the champagne was flying, it was all kicking off, and Jazz was absolutely front and center, Sean. 2 years in a row, Jazz to the postseason, but he's proclaiming that he's loving it as a Yankee. He's loving it in New York, and he's going for a World Series title. How do you feel about Jazz at this point?
Oh, I think I'm almost always happy for all of the players in all of the years that have, left this team and been able to capture, some kind of, immediate success. And it's been, it's been less often, certainly, that we've had that immediate, transition. I mean, he made the playoffs last year. He popped some champagne and some goggles on with the Marlins, as you said, and then, now he's doing it with the Yankees. So usually you feel they've earned it more after years of losing, by being with the club. But no, bode him no ill will. He's definitely taken off. He's tailor-made for that ballpark. And, 100, if he plays a full season there, at least 30-30, if not 40. 40 is finally on the table. That 40-40 tracker will finally pay off for you if he plays 150 games and with half of them in Yankee Stadium.
No doubt. I cannot retire the 40-40 tracker knowing that truly a full season in Yankee Stadium, 40-40 is, it may be under. We may need to go 50-50 tracker next year. I don't even know. Maybe we will. It's been great to see Jazz, in a different situation where he's just part of a team that's on riding the wave. They've had their struggles actually, been following the Yankees a little bit more closely this, since Jazz has moved there. So it's been interesting to get into that and follow what's going on. And, Judge was a bit cold for a while and Soto was a bit cold for a while, and they were just grinding out some wins. So, nothing comes easy to anyone. Baseball isn't easy, but Jazz, I think's really fitted in great there. He's obviously loving it, which is, encouraging. And, it was great to see. He's such an exuberant character, and he's great. He's great for content. He's great for fans. He's great for baseball. I think that's the thing with Jazz. When the lights are bright, he really rises to that occasion, which I think is fun, no doubt. We're running long on time, guys, so we're gonna have to call it a day here. One final question though for both of you. I'm asking everyone this question on the pod in my final week or two. I need you to look into the crystal ball. I need you to maybe put your optimistic hats on and tell me the next year that the Marlins make the postseason. Hans, I'll start with you.
2026.
Oh, didn't even think about it. You 2026.
Yeah, I think if the rotation goes the way it should go next year, and getting some players via trade and saving some money, next year, they don't have to spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
getting one or two key free agents, 2026 looks very realistic to me.
Oh, baby. Is Sandy's part of that squad, that group in 26?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Sean, where are you sitting on this one?
I kind of feel like I need to pivot, but I was going to say the same thing. To 2026 here for me, they'll figure out the rotation they're going to run with. There's young reinforcements in the wings. Whoever's left from 2025, that's going to in 2026. You could possibly see some Thomas White or Noble Meyer in there working its way into the back of the rotation, I think, at that point. And the ball of health will bounce starting pitching's way, and the Marlins will be in it in 2026.
Let me circle back to you both, though, just as a quick follow-up. This is the final one. I'll start with you, Sean. I'll start with you, Sean. 2026, the Marlins make the postseason. Who's going to be the offensive standout? When we look into that season, there's going to be a guy that's propelled it offensively. Who's going to be that guy that's been the linchpin? I look back to last year, and you think of Arias and just what Arias did. Obviously, Soler played a part, Berger played other guys played a role, but I think of Arias just the catalyst of that offense. So 2026, yes, it might be pitching heavy, but who's the offensive standout in that season?
Well, I hope it's Connor Norby. Yeah.
Go on, Hans. Connor Norby?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
The guy's looking great these couple of weeks. So further development, 2026, he can be like the 3 spot in the lineup. Hopefully.
Yeah, good call. Sean, what about you?
If it's a player in the organization, I'll say Augustin Ramirez is the driving force. Probably more time at DH than catcher. I tend to agree with the assessment that maybe he's not gonna, stick at that position. But I think the power and the bat will play. But I think it's more likely that it's whoever the next Luis Arias is, the free agent signing in 2026. That's seen as the finishing piece will be the driving force.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds interesting. Guys, thank you both. Thank you both for firstly reaching out, because both of you said, I want to be on the show, and I appreciate you guys both for reaching out and saying you'd come on. It's an absolute pleasure to do this with you guys. I think it's been fun. It's been fun doing a three-way for sure. It's not the typical format.
Every time.
I mean, I've never heard any complaints. Nevertheless, so Sean, Hans, appreciate you guys for joining the show. It's been a fun conversation, no doubt. Guys, thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. We're going to log off now, and we're going to go and watch a game. The Marlins are just about to start. I'm checking here. There's someone already on second base for the Dodgers.
So already said it.
So Edward Cabrera. There's 2 on base, 1 out. We better end this show immediately and see what's cooking. Guys, appreciate it, and we'll be back tomorrow. I think tomorrow we have Alex Carver on the show. We also may have a Braves fan joining us to help promo that series, which should be fun. So, guys, the guests keep on rolling in. The show carries on. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.